All right, good evening, everyone. This is our wonderful February already meeting of the Rotary E-Club of Southeast USA and Caribbean. Of course, I'm A.Bostdorff-Miller, club president and club president-elect. Yeah, I'm gonna do it one more time. Actually, I'm looking forward to it. And we've got a wonderful group here of people tonight. We still might even get a couple more people come on, and that's great. They join us when they can. I'm going to go right into our speaker, our program for tonight. If you've been watching my posts on our weekly meeting thread, you know that our speaker comes from an entity called H2O for Life. And I want to say that Will and I were sitting down a few months back watching TV, watching PBS, and they did a segment on H2O for Life. And I thought, that's perfect. You know, I would love to get a hold of somebody in this organization, because one of our secondary foci of our club is clean water. So Mitchell responded to my email and was very gracious to accept the invitation to come speak with us on this meeting. So real quick, H2O for Life offers a service learning opportunity designed to engage, educate, and inspire youth to take action to solve the global water crisis by raising awareness and funds to support implementation of water, sanitation, and hygiene education projects for global partner schools. And a little bit about our speaker, LeGrand. He's an educational programs manager for H2O for Life. He joined the organization in 2019 after moving from the global programs at the University of Minnesota. His role is to manage new relationships with educators and organizations interested in implementing H2O's programming. Mitchell has worked in a variety of roles related to developing teaching tools across disciplines for nonprofits, and he is always willing to find a way to give opportunity to students to better themselves and the world around them. In his spare time, Mitchell enjoys playing and writing music with his friends, training for races, and finding ways to be involved in his community. And I had to copy this down too. His fun fact is he runs his own local music festival for young musicians. So there you go, in a small nutshell. Mitchell, all yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction, and it is great to be here with you all tonight. I have a fond spot in my heart personally for Rotaries. I was a former Strive Scholar. I'm not sure if your Rotary does that at all, but so I got to go to college because of Rotarians. Very grateful, and I'm looking to maybe do one of the Peace Fellowships someday in the future here. And so really excited to be here and to get to chat with you guys and tell you a little bit more about this organization that I work for and that I love. I want to be mindful of time tonight. And so is there more to the meeting other than the speaker? I just want to know what the time limit is before I start jabbering on. You're muted.
I'm being nice to myself. Nope, it's all yours.
All mine. All right, awesome.
If you want to leave, we'll leave about 10 minutes or so for Q&A.
Perfect. That works great.
Great.
All right. Well, then I am going to pull up my presentation here. And today I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview about what H2O for Life is. You got the little introduction about our mission statement and whatnot. We'll explain kind of the logistics of those things. I'll talk about the programs that we have and what we offer in schools, because it's a pretty unique and special program. And then I will also mention the impact that we've had and a way that you can plug in at the end if you have an interest to do so. And like she said, I will save 10 minutes at the end, probably a little bit more for questions. And so I'm happy to field anything you have. But without further ado, I'll just pull up the presentation. Right. And start from here. Come on. Oh, the Zoom thing always gets in the way. There we go. There we go. All right. So H2O for Life, Like Alicia mentioned, H2O for Life offers a service learning opportunity designed to engage, educate, and inspire youth to take action to solve the global water crisis by raising awareness and funds to support implementation of water, sanitation, and hygiene education projects for global partner schools. It sounds like that your club has a focus on water, and so I probably don't have to dive too deep into wash interventions, water access, sanitation, and hygiene interventions. But essentially what we are doing is we are going into classrooms and we offer free materials to educators and for students to engage with the topic of the global water crisis. What exactly does it mean when we say the word global water crisis? Who are the people impacted by it? How can they plug in to help? Something really cool about our organization at H2O for Life is that all the materials are completely free. Some organizations charge fees for the things that go on at their educational group. That is not the case for H2O for Life. We're a nonprofit. We have enough funds to run a diverse set of programs, and all of the resources, if you go on our website, are totally free to use. We're also a no commitment organization, so I'll explain what it means to sponsor a school in a second, but none of the schools are required to raise a certain amount of funds to participate. So any school anywhere in the United States and potentially beyond are welcome to participate in our programs. The way it works is we go into schools and we provide an educational program, and sometimes that program is us going in and giving virtual presentations to students. Back in the day, it was in person. It has been virtual the last couple of years. For a lot of organizations, that was a very difficult hurdle to overcome. For us, it's actually been kind of the silver lining of the pandemic. Before, I was only able to book the occasional virtual presentation with a school outside of Minnesota. And now I get to go and I get to teach in California some days, and Florida's the next day, and New York the next day. And I did one in Brazil last year. And so we are in a lot of classrooms all over the world talking about this topic, talking about the need for wash interventions around the world and for access to clean water around the world. Once we have gone in, we've taught about this, or the teacher has brought up the topic in the classroom, we provide free resources for the teacher to have some lesson plans available to them so they can lead the conversation if they'd prefer to do that. After that education side happens, we hope that they feel inspired to take action and do something about that. Our website serves as a platform to connect with a partner school somewhere else in the world that is in need of one of these wash interventions. And those interventions are led by local NGOs on the ground. So that's local leadership in these communities taking the initiative and carrying 50% of the funding for the project. And so students here do some sort of fundraiser. They can get really creative about it. We don't prescribe a specific type of fundraiser, and they can go and raise funds for their partner school. And there's a lot of really cool things that go into that, which I'll get to the partner schools later at the end. But I mentioned all of these educational resources and all of these programs that we have going on. And we do have quite a cool variety of things for educators and students to pick from. And this is my job. I get really excited about it. So if I get a little geeky about it, I apologize. But the first thing we do is free presentations. Like I mentioned, if you go to our website and go to our programs page, it's at the top of the page. This is something that we have found educators love. They love a guest in the classroom coming in and taking over for an hour and talking to their students. They love to hear from an expert in the field who has a little bit more knowledge than them, and they love to sit back and drink a coffee and learn themselves, right? Especially the last couple of years, like I mentioned, it's been really, really hard to be an educator. And so having a little bit of your day where someone else is taking over the classroom can be a really, really nice thing. And this is a great chance for us. We offer a variety of different programs when we go in and speak virtually. I handle the social sciences and I have a colleague, Judy Onifer, and she is a lifetime science educator. And so she handles the science presentations, and we will go in and talk about water quality testing, or we'll talk about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and what those mean. And then there's kind of just the general program of like, this is what H2O for Life is, and this is how you can help, and this is what you need to know about the water crisis. We do this for K through 12, totally free. They just have to go onto the website and sign up and send me an email, and we get in the classroom usually within 2 weeks. And so that is the big thing that we offer that is probably our most used resource. A new program that we have launched this year. Prior to me starting, we didn't really have a really good in with high school students. One of the reasons for that is as you get older, the classes that you take get a little more specific, right? You have high schoolers who are taking these AP classes, they have their honor classes. There's not a lot of wiggle room in the curriculum for them to do a project like you would in middle school or elementary school. And it's a little less about the social emotional learning at that age, but it doesn't mean it's not important and that there shouldn't be an outlet for that. And so this last year, we launched our first ever high school fellowship program. This is kind of my baby. I'm really excited about it. We have 17 high schoolers from I want to say it's 12 different states, as well as Puerto Rico and Canada. They meet once a month and they lead their own project at their school, raising funds for a partner school, as well as educating their peers on the global water crisis. And when they come to this once a month meeting, they get to meet with a cohort from across the world who are really interested in the same things as them and being change makers in their community. At the end of each session, they get to hear from what we call an impact speaker, an impact conversation, and we have professionals come in from different careers, talk to them about how they can get involved with water from like the angles that they care about. So we had Patty Hall, the founder of H2O for Life, come in and speak to them and talk about starting a nonprofit. This next month, we have Micah Standing Soldier coming in and talking to them about water law and water rights. The following month, we have a implementing partner, El Porvenir in Nicaragua, coming in and talking about implementing and the engineering that goes into water projects. And so you're kind of getting to see all these different ways to tackle the same issue, but maybe from your specific skill set or your specific interest area, which is really great for high school students who are exploring their careers before college, trying to find what they're interested in, but still do something that they care about and that can make a positive difference. At the end of the program, after meeting for 6 months, they get a certificate that acknowledges the service hours they put into their project, as well as them being fellows with the H2O for Life program. Definitely really exciting if you have high school students. We do have a couple Floridians who are in the program who are doing some really, really cool things. To help educators and students pursue these projects, because very oftentimes educators are taking money out of their own pocket to make that extra thing happen in their classroom, right? There's so many teachers that we know who are buying supplies for students, who are buying extra books, who are going out of their way to add all of this extra stuff to their classroom. We have a mini grant program. This helps eliminate the barriers to those teachers and to low-income schools and to students interested in maybe exploring social entrepreneurship. Gives them up to $500 in startup funding for their H2O for Life service project. So they write, it's a very easy Google form. They write where they're from and what they're doing, give a little bit of details about the project, and we can give them up to $500 to pursue that project. It's really, really great. We've seen a return on investment of, if we give them about $500, we usually get about $1,400 back in return, which is a big difference. Not every single student does that. Not every single teacher does that, but most of them do. This was also kind of launched as, like I mentioned, a social entrepreneurship project. And so students come up with these really cool ways to raise funds, very unique ways to raise funds. My favorite one ever was these two young girls. They wanted to make dog biscuits. They bought the materials to make dog biscuits, and then they sold them at the local pet store. They requested about $350, and they came back with about $2,200. They funded a whole project just by themselves, selling dog biscuits of all things, which I read the application. I was like, oh, this is kind of goofy, but students do amazing things. Outside of that, if you're talking more about a middle school classroom, and we're talking more about the virtual world that a lot of schools have had to enter this last year, we came up with an online curriculum for 5th grade through 8th grade. It's called Water Guardians. This is the avatar. Her name is Naya, and she's in these little videos that lead students down the Mississippi River talking about water issues along the way. And at the end of the curriculum, you have a lesson about making an impact, and they actually take up a project with H2O for Life and help fund a partner school. It's been a little difficult to get this off the ground. Obviously, getting this in the hands of students and teachers right now is pretty difficult. Like I said, it's kind of hard to take extra stuff on right now, but it is an excellent, completely comprehensive 5-day curriculum, great for any 5th through 8th grade classroom. If you know any teachers that want to talk about environmental issues or talk about global citizenship. And then lastly, this is kind of the last of our programs. We have a variety of free lesson plans on our website, again, for K through 12, that teachers can come and download for free. They don't have to go and make anything. They don't have to go and pay teachers. They can just go to our website. This is by far the most popular one. It's a book called A Long Walk to Water. It's about a man named Salva Dude. He's from South Sudan, and he leaves his country as it's experiencing conflict and becomes a refugee. Eventually returns home and reconnects with a father who he was separated from, and finds he's dying from a waterborne disease, and makes it his life mission to provide clean water for South Sudan. And what is great about this book and H2O for Life, and the combination of these two, is that Salva Dude is a real person, and he has a real organization called Water for South Sudan, and they are one of our implementing partners. And so if students are reading this book, they actually get to help the person they just read about, and that can have a really profound impact. I was teaching at a school in St. Paul last fall, and a very, very high population of East African immigrants. And they thought Salva was the most famous person in the world. And they were so excited to be able to help him. And they send a little video at the end saying thank you to like the specific schools who helped raise money for the projects, and they freaked out. It was great. They were so happy. And so that's a little bit about the resources that we provide. Now, what are we trying to get the students to learn a little more specifically? So if you are unfamiliar with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we very often like to frame the conversation around these. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are goals set by the United Nations for us to achieve by the year 2030. There's some pretty lofty goals. It includes things like ending poverty, ending world hunger, reducing inequalities, free or available public health for everyone. And so we do this activity where we try and connect these different goals, right? How does goal number 6 is clean water and sanitation. And so how do these goals kind of connect to one another? How is clean water connected to public health? How is clean water connected to education or gender equality? And at the end of the day, water is one of the building blocks of life. It is one of our most basic need. And our societies, our communities sprout out of water resources. And so we can take any of the goals on this list of 17 and connect it back to goal number 6 pretty easily. And that's great because not everyone's thing is clean water. Not every student feels excited about that, but they might feel excited about peace and justice, which is goal number 16, or they might feel excited about education, goal number 4. And so we're helping them make those connections and helping them see that water is not just an issue specifically about water, it's about a lot of bigger things. Goal number 3 is easy to stress right now when we talk about the pandemic. Last year, our most frequently sponsored projects were in the Navajo Nation, and that is because there was a lot of news about how they were hit hard by the pandemic. Goal number 5, reducing gender inequalities. That is also another one that is pretty close to home for a lot of people here in the United States. We get, when we're working with higher level students, high schoolers, we work our way up to some of those more complicated goals like economics and sustainable communities, goals 8 and 11. We make that distinction between what it means to be an economic to have economic water scarcity versus having geographic water scarcity. How is climate related to that? How are economic means related to those issues? And so there's a lot for them to unpack here. And then at the end of our presentations, we usually tie it back to goal number 4, because that's the other part of H2O for Life. Most of our projects take place at schools. And we do not want water to be a barrier to someone getting a quality education around the world, right? If you are missing your school day because you are going for water in the middle of the day, that is a missed opportunity to better a community. And so that is why we connect there. And then it's kind of hard to have these conversations with students. It's a difficult topic, but students can handle difficult topics, and they should be exposed to some of the challenges they're going to face. And they should be taught that they do indeed have the tools and the locus of control to make a difference on things that they care about. And water is going to be one of the top issues for this next generation. About 11% of the world's population right now does not have access to improved water resources. It means that water is not available within 15 feet of their house. That means they have to make these long walks for it. Another 25% of the world's population doesn't have adequate sanitation. Of course, we are facing a global pandemic, and we are meeting virtually, which means, our world has changed because certain places don't have access to things like that. And then we get, I kind of joke around, we say Sarah McLachlan music starts playing when we start talking about the really hard facts. And that is things like the difference between boys and girls and who is not attending school and why. Sanitation services being available at schools is far more important for a young girl than it is for a young boy. I think the statistic they provided by UNICEF is it's a goofy one, because I think 1 in 5 girls versus 1 in 6 boys. I think that 5 out of 5 girls and 6 out of 6 boys should be attending school, right? Like water shouldn't be a factor for either. And then we move down and we talk about 801,000 children die each year because of waterborne diseases. I don't know if you've ever had any sort of waterborne disease, but they are unpleasant. I can tell you from personal experience, having drank dirty water at one point. It is not a great thing. And then lastly, we tie it back around and we talk about how 1 in 3 schools, 33% of schools around the world do not have access to drinking water, or have very limited access to drinking water around the world. And that, again, is something that we want to fight and work against. And H2O for Life has done a really, really good job over the years of doing this. We've been around for 12 years and we've had a really big impact. To date, these are a little dated. This was from a few months ago. We've done 994 projects just over a decade. These projects have been in 38 different nations, including the United States. We've been in North America, Central America, South America. We've been on the continent of Africa. We've been in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and even a little in Oceania. And we work with, like I said, a lot of implementing partners. We've worked with 64 different implementing partners over the years. We have a threshold that these organizations have to meet to ensure that we continue to work with them. Their projects need to be sustainable. They need to be have community buy-in, and they need to be led locally. These are some really important things that we find in the practices of humanitarianism, which I'm sure you as Rotarians are quite familiar with. But we have a lot of really cool partners that are doing cool things. And if you ever want to connect, not necessarily with an educational organization, but with a water-specific organization, this is a great resource for you to look into. Any of these organizations are doing really good things. We like to connect with them often and check in with projects. And we usually take like 2 or 3 from each organization that we are currently working with and put them on our websites for students to be matched with. We aren't working with all of them currently. It changes from season to season based off of who has projects where and when, and what those projects look like. The projects themselves, we usually do, like I said, they're usually at schools. They might be a borehole well, a rain catch system, latrines, hand washing stations, water storage units and emergency relief efforts. They're not as common. We try to make sure that we are working on sustainable projects, but occasionally some sort of emergency relief group will reach out to us. That happened to us during Katrina and during the earthquake in Haiti some years back. And so that was the only times that we've really done the emergency relief efforts. Water storage units became a little more relevant this last year in the Navajo Nation. Like I said, we're doing a lot of projects out there, and part of that area is it's a very dry climate, very limited access to water. So having that water storage unit in place was really helpful for them. as far as local impact, as far as our impact with students here in the United States and how many we've educated, we've done almost 1,800 schools now who have participated in the program. I usually do about 150 roughly schools a year when I go in and deliver this programming. We've reached over 750,000 students. Those students have been able to raise $3.5 million in combined efforts. And with our one-to-one match by the NGOs, it's more like $7 million that has been raised for projects to date around the world. And they all come up with their own ways to do it. You know, some like to do their own walk for water and kind of experience what it's like to carry water over a long distance. And they have their parents or grandparents or whoever sponsor their walk. Some host science fairs, some do penny drives. I really like up in the corner, the Sisters for Water. They're a group of sisters from New York City, and they knit pot holders. And they have a little website where they sell pot holders. And they do like entire projects by themselves, just the two of them selling pot holders throughout the year. And so, like I said, students are really creative and they come up with great ways to use their talents for good. And so that's a little bit about what our impact has been like. So for a school to sign up, it's super easy. If they want to sponsor a project, they just click on Explore Projects on our website. They can pick any school that they would like. If you click on a school, it has some information about it, you know, where it is, the number of students you'll be helping, a little bit about what the project specifically is, and maybe what the community is like where they are supporting, some photos of the community they are supporting, and how much is needed to be raised to make this project happen. So like I said, we do a one-to-one match. So this project is $4,340 on our end. The other $4,340 needs to be raised by that local NGO and the community that is implementing the project. And you don't necessarily have to raise this all by yourself. Our programming model on our website, they can actually add multiple schools on one project. So if you know, one school in Florida wants to raise $500 and a school in Minnesota wants to raise $500 and 10 other schools want to help in various amounts, they can all support the same project to make sure that this project gets done. That can be pretty fun if you're in a school that has competition with another school. Where I'm from in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, competes with Stillwater, Minnesota, trying to raise more funds than the other one. And it can be a fun competition for some good in those communities, and some really cool things come out of that. And it also ensures that our projects get done. And so at the end of the year, it kind of evens out. You know, some schools will make a pledge to raise $100 and they'll make $500. And some schools will make a pledge to raise $100 and they'll raise $50. And that's okay. It's a non-binding commitment. We just hope that you're trying to be reasonable when you make the first estimate. Most schools that I work with tend to go way low and they ask me to bump up their commitment later because they actually succeed a lot more than they think they're going to. And so that's a little bit about our organization, just kind of an overview. I'm a little early here, but this is what the programs page looks like. All you have to do is go to h2oforlifeschools.org/programs, and it'll be right there. You can also find it on the About Us section of our website, and you can kind of look through what's available and how to access those things if you have anyone that is interested. But with that, I have 15 minutes here at the end for questions. My name, once again, Mitchell LeGrand. I'm the Educational Programs Manager, so I work directly with all of our schools and the implementation of this programming. Unfortunately, Judy Onifer is not here to join us tonight. She is our in-house science expert and loves talking about the science side of what we are doing. And she helps develop the materials for the programs that we are delivering. And so thank you guys so much for your time and attention and for having me in. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed the BBS special.
That was wonderful. That was more than wonderful. That was a lot of information, a lot of good information. And I really, really like where you're going. I mean, our primary focus for our club is basic education. So you're doing, tying in, what we do with our foci, basic education, literacy, clean water, um, and well, water pollution, and actually economic development. So that's kind of our club right now in sort of a nutshell. But thank you so much. I'm glad that my husband Will Miller and I sat down and watched PBS that one night, and that caught my eye. And yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. We appreciate it. Any support and just being able to be in front of the change makers and communities who are doing the big things and caring about the important stuff it's always an honor. So, yeah.
Any questions? Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, Mitchell, the overarching issue that you start with is the global water crisis. And a lot of what you presented had to do with safe drinking water, the association with that, and hygiene and sanitation. I fully appreciate that. I was in the Peace Corps 50 years ago. And although I was in a different area, certainly clean water and its link, and sanitation is linked to clean water, was a very important part of that. My question is, the global water crisis also has to do with irrigated agriculture, not just human consumption of safe drinking water. And we will not be able to feed the world without irrigated agriculture. I'm not sure I heard any emphasis or focus of that come through in your presentation. Is that part of the consideration that you share with students as you give your presentations, or is your primary focus just clean, safe drinking water for the human population?
That is a great question. And you're absolutely right in your understanding of that. So when we go into schools, unfortunately, we only get to have, maybe an hour of their time, right? And so there's only so many topics that we can go over with students. And one of the cool things about the classroom presentations is we can tailor them to specific communities and groups. And so some schools want us to come in and talk to the climate side of things. Some schools want us to come in and talk about the STEM side of things. Some want us to talk about the history of their area and the water history of their area. I did a presentation in Memphis, and they wanted us to talk about the whole history of the Mississippi River through Memphis. It's very interesting. And so not with every school do we talk about that, but it is something that is in materials that we have. I bring it up with the high school fellowship program. We have someone who is hopefully going to be coming in and talking about that topic from the University of Minnesota. And they're going to be talking about water and agriculture as it relates to the Colorado River. But that's about the extent to which that conversation gets had in our programs. But I do agree that it is an important one. Absolutely.
Yeah, did you say you gave presentations in California, virtual presentations? Yeah, so that's one area of the country where this is a very important issue. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Colorado River, of course. That's a big contributor of drinking water to the LA basin and other parts of California. But the Central Valley of California, which is the breadbasket of the United States, mm-hmm. Is dependent on irrigated agriculture, and a lot of that comes from surface water runoff from the Sierra Madre. And in recent years, there's been a lot of drought. That water's not been available. So farmers have turned to groundwater with the result of increase in depletion of groundwater reserves, and that has led to um, trying to think of the word where literally the floor of the Central Basin or the Central Valley of California is dropping because of the groundwater depletion that's going on there, which is also becoming more saline as time goes on. There's all sorts of issues there that are very, very important to our future. In addition to the issue of clean drinking water for human populations.
Yes, like I mentioned when we were talking with the high schoolers, we do talk about the management of our clean water resources and where they're going and like how they are being managed in various areas. What is the difference between water management policies in the United States and Canada, or United States and India, or United States and Kenya? So there are conversations that come up, and it's, we try and let the students or the educators drive those conversations. We do have one student in LA very interested in the topics you're talking about, because obviously he is in California and is.
Yeah, subsidence was the word I was trying to come up with. Yeah. So we see that a lot in California.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. Yes,
Mitchell, I've got a real quick question. Rotary has a large program that they're getting off the ground with Haiti, Haiti National Sanitation, called Hand Wash. Are you or any of your affiliates working with Rotary in that at this point?
Our founder, our nonprofit founder, Patty Hall, is a Rotarian, and the local Rotary here does do a lot of projects. I don't know if it's specifically involved with that one. I'm not our director of global programs. There's someone else who handles the partnerships. I know that we've worked with Rotary in the past and that we've done work with that Rotary. I don't know if it's been at the national or international Rotary level. But that's certainly something that we can look into if we are not currently doing it.
Yeah, their goal is to have clean water for all towns and cities throughout Haiti within the next, I think it's 10 years.
Oh, awesome.
A long-term program. Yeah,
it's great. See, even I get to, the best thing about being an educator is learning from other people.
I'd like to ask a question. I'm not sure you can answer. Do you know anything about the moringa tree?
About the what?
The moringa tree. Okay. Well, I've done a little bit of research on that, and one of the things that I read was that they are doing research on the use of moringa seeds, that it actually helps to sanitize water. And the moringa tree grows mostly in the subtropical and tropical areas, and every portion of the moringa tree is usable. It's filled with protein, it's a tree, and it produces seeds, and it can help to sanitize water. So I just thought, I didn't know if you knew anything about it, but I grow a couple moringa trees here in Clearwater. I use the leaves for putting in my soups and feeding my dog. But they're doing research in Penn State on those seeds. It's really interesting to study.
That's really cool. I'm going to look into that. Yeah. A lot of the students that we work with, their first response is like, oh, why don't we just make the salt water fresh water? Isn't it that easy? And so we had a whole conversation about that.
Yeah, there is a process, and some seeds are good and some aren't. So like I said, they're doing research, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
The moringa tree is very interesting.
That's the.
So are you saying that you are able to grow the tree in Florida?
I'm a native plant person, and some people say you shouldn't grow it because it's not native, but it grows very well. It takes about, oh yeah, I have 2 trees and I just keep cutting them and they keep growing back.
Amazing. It's good for blood pressure too. It's very good for blood pressure.
It's very good. Yeah, it's very nutritious. So for areas in the world where they have poor nutrition, it can give them nutrition, and then you can use it for the seeds for sanitation, wash your hands in the
I
water and
didn't
it's
know
clean.
that.
The
Wow.
seeds kill the bacteria. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
very interesting plant. Yeah,
Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. Oh, great. Anything else? Okay.
No, I would say it's a very great project. Congratulations. And it's really inspiring what you guys are doing with the youth and, big project. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
This this program tonight will be put on our Facebook page. And so other Rotarians and, other people that are, look at our Facebook page will see your presentation. And I will definitely share it with the rest of our district. We've got 49 clubs within our district.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
we've got some clubs actually have, a very active interact clubs. And so I see some great potential, down here in our district. So it would definitely will go out.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And thank you again, all of you, for having me in tonight. It was wonderful to chat with you.
Go ahead, Robin.
Question. Looking at the map of your locations, it looked like you were down in the Caribbean somewhere. Where, do you know where specifically you have projects in the Caribbean, or was it Haiti or the Dominican Republic?
You know what? I don't know if are you asking currently or historically?
Well, it was your currently.
Currently, I don't know that we have any projects going on in the Caribbean. I can just pull this up real quick.
Yeah, the reason I asked the question, we do some projects with Rotary clubs in the island of Dominica, as distinct from the Dominican Republic. And as soon as this link is published on our Facebook page, I'll be directing the Rotary Club of Portsmouth to take a look at it.
Well, I'm not familiar with any projects going on there. We do currently have some projects going on in Haiti.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Andy, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just gonna follow up to that moringa tree comment. I did a quick look. I suspected what it was. We have that as well in our backyard. I didn't recognize it as moringa because we go by the Philippine word malunggay. That's what we call the tree. We do use the leaves and cook them as vegetable, and understand that the seeds and pods are edible as well. It does get frozen back every year, but it comes back, and yeah, it's I think a lot of the Filipinos know what that is.
I guess that's not to be confused with the marimba tree. If you eat parts of that, you're imperiled in having to play the xylophone for the rest of your life.
Probably in Guatemala.
Okay. On that note.
She can dress me up, but she can't take me out.
It's true. It's true. Okay. Anything else? All right, Mitchell, we are, as a club, we're going to talk and see if we can't just somehow also send some money your way.
Okay.
And whether we get involved with a school. Now we have our club, we have 30 members in our club. We represent approximately 27 different districts.
Oh, wow.
Districts. That's how spread out we are.
Yeah, Rotary districts.
Yeah, Rotary districts. This is, let's see, we've got 15 people on. This is just under half of our club right now, but we are spread out basically throughout the world. So anyway, see what we can do this year. We definitely, I would love to have it as a part of our budget for next Rotary year. I would actually like to talk to you more later on. You mentioned about a Peace Center.
Yeah.
Or, okay. So like to talk to you a little bit more later on about that.
Sure. Yeah. My for reference, my undergraduate research was in education and peace building. That's kind of how I ended up in this field. So yeah.
All right, great.
Just one more question before you leave. The program is available, the education program. How many languages do you have? Is it only English, or do you have any other languages?
It's only in English.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the majority of our resources. I'm working on translating a lot of them to Spanish.
Okay.
And I am not super comfortable giving a presentation in Spanish. I have stumbled my way through one in Mexico. The kids were like, "It's okay, we speak English." And I was like, "I'm trying."
Okay.
But I did my best.
All right. Good. Always good to try.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, of course. Thank you. I'll sign off and leave you to the rest of your meeting. Appreciate it,
Okay.
and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. Anybody that would like to post any comments aside from the meeting tonight, more than welcome to on our weekly meeting threads online. I will have this meeting up and running on our Facebook page within the next 2 days. I will have it on our new weekly meeting thread, which starts Saturday evenings. So it will be posted then. So there you go. Wonderful meeting. Any other questions, comments, whatever? I'd like to welcome Dave Nichols and Renee Maxfield to our meetings. Dave is our newest member, and Renee, I'm sure will be soon. So anyway, it's good to see everyone this evening. I think we're all, well, except for Robin Foley, I think we're all basically in the same time zone. Robin, you're an hour behind us, correct? Yeah. No. Up in the Panhandle. Okay. So, anything else for the good of the club this evening?
No, welcome to the new members.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, like I said, I'll have this posted. The BOD members, if you would like to stay with us, I did send out an agenda rather late this afternoon. I apologize for the tardiness, but I'm going to go ahead, stop the recording. We can do the 4-way test. I think we should do that. So of everything in Rotarians we think, say, and do, is it the truth?
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, couple minute break, BOD, and we'll meet back here in a few. Thank you all.
Alicia, did you want me to hang on for the one item for your board meeting?